What's up, guys? UFC 297 just took place, and these are every single fight to make after the event. Obviously, a bunch of fighters got wins, a bunch of fighters got losses, and I'm going to be matchmaking the key fights and the fights that need to happen for these individuals and who they should be facing next. Obviously, we're going to start off with the main event, and Dricus Du Plessis is the new title challenger. He beat Sean Strickland by split decision. It was a very close fight. I've heard the idea of a rematch being thrown around. I don't mind it. Look, I don't mind the idea of a rematch. It was a super competitive fight. I wouldn't mind seeing it ran back just because there is no real 100% deserving contender. But I'm going to go with Israel Adesanya as the next guy for Dricus Du Plessis. You know, even though you can come at me and say Izzy doesn't deserve it, look, I agree. He hasn't beaten anyone since he lost to Sean Strickland, and he's 1-2 in his last three. But it's Adesanya. He's a big star. He's a big draw. Dricus now just won the belt. They've got heat to this rivalry already. Everyone's seen the face-off. Everyone's seen the beef. They can promote it easily. So I do think this is the fight that's going to happen next. If they did a rematch, 100% would not complain at all. But I just think they're going to do this, to be honest. They can do it at UFC 300. They can save it and try and get something done in Africa, maybe. I don't know. I think it would be too... That's the only negative about this, is if they do this soon, obviously you miss out on doing this in Africa. But maybe you can get like a rematch of this down the line in Africa. But you know what I mean? Dricus versus Adesanya, I think it's a great fight to make. It's a really intriguing style matchup because Dricus would definitely have a lot of success with the takedowns. Adesanya, I do think, has the style which would cause Dricus a lot of problems on the feet as well, though, because I know Dricus just looked really good against Strickland on the feet, and Strickland beat Adesanya easily, but it's a different kind of style on the feet, if you know what I mean. Dricus does leave himself open, and Izzy's got a much quicker and much more precise kind of counter than Sean Strickland, in my opinion. Even though he doesn't look that good recently, I just think on the feet, this would cause problems for him, but I do think Dricus would take down Adesanya and beat him up, sub him, because Strickland has one of the best takedown defense rates in the middleweight division and some of the best get-ups as well. And Dricus was still having success in the grappling. So I think you do this fight. I don't know when you do it, but you just do this fight. You make it happen. Big matchup. It's going to sell a bunch of pay-per-views. But the loser of the co-main event, also the loser of the main event, was Sean Strickland. He won his belt. He now lost it straight away. No title defense. Is very unfortunate for him. But I think there's a pretty clear path back, and because this fight was so competitive and he didn't get KO'd or submitted early, and it was not a finish, it was a very close decision, I think he's one fight away. I think he just needs to get one good win, and he's back in there. Maybe two, but I think one's enough. So I think you do Sean Strickland versus the winner of Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa, which I think is going to be Robert Whittaker. So I've put that as the name on the screen, or the image on the screen. This is a clear fight to make. Sean Strickland's talked some shit about Whittaker's style. He said that he's just got a blitz. He's not that good. Whittaker, coming off that big loss to Dricus, he got finished. So if he gets an impressive win over Costa, he still can't really get a title shot with Dricus as champion because he got kind of ran through in that fight. He got ran through like Linda the Plug, like Ian Gary's wife. Trust. But Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker, I think you make this happen. Extremely competitive fight in the main event. Strickland didn't look bad at all by any means. And yeah, I think he's one win away. Whittaker is, I think, the number 3 ranked middleweight in the world, because Sean Strickland's going into this, obviously, was the champ. Adesanya was number 1, Dricus was number 2. So I imagine Sean is now going to be number 1, because I don't see them putting him behind Izzy. So I think he's going to be number 1, Izzy's going to be number 2, Whittaker's going to be number 3. So if he beats Costa, he'll stay number 3. He won't be able to go above Izzy. So I say you do this, number 1 versus 3 in the rankings. Do it in Australia, either on a pay-per-view or a fight night main event. 5 rounds would be sick, because I think it's a waste of this fight to not make it 5 rounds, to be honest. Like, Sean Strickland should not be 3 rounders. Like, you need 5 rounds to watch Sean Strickland fight. That's just how it is. So you do this as like a fight night main event in Melbourne, Australia. I'm just kind of giving myself the fight opportunity because that's where I live. So I would definitely go watch that live. But I think you make this fight happen for sure, especially if Whittaker beats Costa. If not, then you do Costa versus Strickland. That would have a lot of heat to it. That would they would chat a lot, definitely. And I think you can do that for 5 rounds too. So either way, Strickland versus the Whittaker Costa winner in a 5 round main event. I think you make that fight happen. But The co-main event was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. Um, Raquel Pennington, she can fight Pena next. It's pretty clear. I'm not going to waste time talking about it. Pena was always going to be next going into this fight. She's always going to be next coming out of it. Even though she hasn't won a fight since 2021, and her last fight she got 50-43. I guess you just got to give her a title shot because there's no names in bantamweight, so at least Pena is gonna chat some shit. So you make this fight happen, just do it on some random pay-per-view as like a feature fight, not even a co-main event, a feature fight or a fight night co-main event, because that would be disrespectful to put this in a main event or co-main event spotlight of a pay-per-view. So make it happen. It's gonna happen, but let's just get this division out of our lives. But again, co-main event loser Bueno Silva looked very mid. She had the potential to really get a bunch of hype around her. She had the potential to create herself a name, be the kind of savior of women's bantamweight, and get a finish, again a good spotlight. But she didn't. She failed. She gassed hard. Her grappling looked good early, and when she was fresh, she won. But she was only fresh for one round. So you do her versus Aldana, coming off a win over Carol Hosa. Took a bunch of damage. Gonna need some time off. I imagine Silva ain't gonna be back in there too early. So you do this on the Brazil card in May. I think you can make it happen. That's a good enough turnaround for both of them. The next fight, or the next fighter that needs to be match made for, is Movsar Evloev. He beat Arnold Allen in a close decision. It was unanimous for him, but it was pretty close. So I don't mind it going either way. But he got the nod. I picked him to win. And I think you do him versus the Yair Rodriguez-Brian Ortega winner next. Because going into this fight, I said, if the winner of this gets an impressive showing and a dominant performance, because even though I didn't think the winner of this was going to get a finish, I was like, if they get a dominant win, like a 30-27 or just a fun fight and they win and it's good and they make a big statement, they can get a title shot next, especially if Volk beats Topuria. Because if Topuria beats Volk, I don't think either Evloev or Allen were going to be on that shortlist for title challenges. But if Volk beats Topuria, he's basically out of contenders. So I say you do Movsar versus Yair Rodriguez. I think regardless of if Volk or Topuria wins, I still don't think he gets a title shot, just because you can't really get a title shot in a 3-round win against Arnold Allen where you looked good, but it wasn't super dominant. So you do him versus Yair versus Ortega winner. I've got Yair winning that fight, so I think it will be him versus Yair. I know the potential of that stylistic matchup could be really boring if he just holds Yair down, but on the feet, Yair is going to cause him problems. He's really quick. He was causing Volk problems on the feet, so he's definitely going to cause Evloev problems. You make this fight happen on the fucking, I don't know, the Noche card. That's too long though. So do it on some pay-per-view middle of the year. If Volk fights again, maybe in the middle of the year, you do that on that card, I guess. But yeah, I think Evloev gets it. I think he would beat Yair, but I think he just needs that one more opponent, because he was number 9 going into this. He's now going to be number 4 or 5, I believe. He just can't really get a title shot at 4 or 5 unless you're a big star. So I don't think he gets the title shot. I think you do him versus Yair Rodriguez. The next fighter is Arnold Allen. He lost in the main card opener. Put on a decent performance open. It is unfortunate for him. He's now 0-2 in his last 2. So he needs to fight down. He fought down here because he lost his last one. He needs to fight down again. I don't think you want to make him fight down too far though. I say you do him versus Josh Emmett. This one is a great stylistic fight because you got big power puncher, dangerous guy Josh Emmett versus quick, elusive, super speedy Arnold Allen. I think this would be a great matchup on the feet. I don't think this goes to the ground, to be honest. And it would be can Emmett catch him with that big shot, with that big meaty hook, as Lucas Tracy says, or would Arnold Allen just outspeed him and win a decision, or maybe even put Josh Emmett down, perhaps. But I think you make this one happen. Josh Emmett fought down in his last fight, coming off 2 losses. He fought Bryce Mitchell. So I think he gets a little bit of a jump up, but I think these two would be right next to each other in the rankings, because right now, Emmett's 6 and Allen is 4, but after Evloev goes above him, he's going to go down. So these two are going to be right next to each other in the rankings. So I say you do Arnold Allen versus Josh Emmett on a pay-per-view. Again, pay-per-view opener, main card opener of a pay-per-view, or in a London, England fight night or pay-per-view whenever they do that. You can do it on there. Great fight, exciting matchup. I think this is the fight to make. But the next fight to make is Chris Curtis. He got a close-ish decision against Marc-Andre Barriault. pretty not comfortable, but a close win. Split, but two of the judges gave him 30-27 for him. He looked solid. He looked like he was struggling with the pressure a little bit, though. I think even though he did get a win defending his ranking, I think he can't really get a jump up. Like, he didn't look too impressive, and I just don't see anyone above him that I'm like, yeah, he's got to fight him. He's already fought a Mavov. He's already fought Hermansson. Like, he can't be fighting too far up, in my opinion. So I think you do him versus the winner of Tavares versus Robocop, which I think is going to be Gregory Rodriguez. So I think you make that fight happen. Gregory Rodriguez versus Chris Curtis. Great fight. It's a banger. Two sluggers. I think this would be another similar stylistic fight that would just be really fun. Do it on the prelims of a pay-per-view, I think would be the perfect spot for it. Maybe prelims of the Brazil card, perhaps. But yeah, this will be a great fight. Robocop's got a bunch of power. He got KO'd against Bruno Ferreira, but he looked great in his next fight after that. These two would just sling power shots on the feet. Maybe Robocop mixes in the takedowns, but I think Chris Curtis needs to prove himself one more time before he gets a jump up in competition, because his last few fights, like, he got tuned up by Hermansson and he was losing comfortably to a Mavov, and he lost to Gastelum. So, like, come on, Curtis, you got to beat a couple more guys and then you fight in the rankings again. But the next fight to make is Neil Magny. He got a win over Mike Malott. And yeah, he beat Mike Malott. He was getting smoked. He was losing that fight dominantly. But he comes back and realizes that Mike Malott has no heart, no cardio, and no defense on the ground. And so he gets on top of him with 20 seconds to go and TKOs him. Great win from Neil Magny. Even though he looked shit, good win. I saw someone saying on Instagram, Neil Magny versus Stephen Thompson. And I was like, are you fucking retarded? Like, why the fuck would you make that fight? That just isn't fun in any way. Like, Wonderboy would either tune him up on the feet or Magny would just clinch him against the fence. Like, that's so dead. So, don't know why someone suggested that. I think he's got to not fight outside the rankings again, but this guy is ranked. I say you do him versus Renat Fakhretdinov. It's tough. I know it's mean to Magny, but you got to keep defending the gate, bro. It wasn't an impressive performance. Like, you were getting smoked. Renat's still ranked. Magny holds onto his ranking for now, but I think you got to still fight down a little bit. I don't want to make him fight like some up-and-comer again. I think that's too mean, but at least Renat is ranked. And Renat, in his last fight, didn't look too impressive against Dos Santos, but he has a ranking next to his name. So I think you do Magny versus Renat Fakhretdinov. Apex Fight Night main card, or Fight Night, Arena Fight Night prelims, or pay-per-view prelims. You could do this really anywhere that isn't the main card of anything, unless it's in the Apex. I think you do this. Test Renat, see if he can get that win. I think he probably beats Magny because he still looked shit in this fight, but I think that's the fight to make. But the next guy is Sean Woodson, the alien, the Slender Man himself. He got a win over Charles Jourdain, split decision, which I think was a bit weird. I think he won pretty clearly, but he needs to get a little bit of a jump up in opposition, but he doesn't look too good. It wasn't an impressive performance, so I think you do him versus Bill Aljo next for sure. Not like a super intriguing, super high level crazy fight, but Bill Aljo, another rangy guy. He's got a 73-inch reach. No one's going to compete with Woodson's reach of 78 inches because this guy's an alien. But at least Bill Aljo isn't going to have a 9-inch reach disadvantage. So 73 versus 78, two of the longer reaches in the featherweight division. Both guys that have used the rangy striking a lot. Aljo in his last fight got a win over Alexander Hernandez in a pretty fun scrap. So I think you do him versus Woodson. No real, really not much motivation to this fight. I just chucked it together. I guess, again, main card of an Apex Fight Night, or prelims of an Arena Fight Night, or prelims of a pay-per-view. Make it happen. Easy stuff. The next fight is Ramon Tavares, and he got a win, and I'm lazy, so I'm just going to match him up against another guy on the card. Garrett Armfield got a win over Brad Katona. I think you just do this fight or something like that. I saw some other fights, like Gaston Bolaños is fun. You can do really anyone. Like, he throws a lot of hands in. He's got a pretty fun style. So anyone that doesn't shoot a lot of takedowns and that has a good, fun boxing style, you do. Armfield versus Katona. Armfield, when he kept it on, because he got taken down, but he seems to keep it on the feet, and he's got some pretty good hands. So you make this fight happen, I guess. It's not the most high level, it's not the most intricate matchmaking I've ever done, but just make it happen. Easy stuff. It'll be a pretty fun fight. Again, prelims of an Apex card, prelims of Fight Night, early prelims of a pay-per-view. Chuck it together. Both guys got a win. Yeah, just do it. The next fighter and the final fighter that we have is Sam Patterson. He saved his career, I guess. Or not saved because he was only coming off one loss, but he rebounded after a bad loss and he got a first round sub over Johan Lainesse, who is not good at all. But he got the win. He looks way better at welterweight. I'm happy that he's there and not cutting all that weight. But another guy that fought on this card that beat Johan Lainesse and did it in more time, than Sam Patterson is Mike Malott, the guy that had that opportunity to jump up the rankings, get a big name guy, well not big name but ranked guy Neil Magny, failed, dropped the ball in the last round and got TKO'd. Both guys have fought Johan Lainesse, so there is a bit of a comparing grounds there. You just do this fight, I guess. Malott, they're going to be in, I don't think they're in any rush to try and get this guy back to a high level prospect position, you could say. Just do this fight again. UK, whenever they do go back to the UK, just do this as a prelim in the UK card. That'll be easy stuff. Yeah, make that fight happen. But those are all the fights to make after UFC 297 Strickland versus Du Plessis. I put my matchmaking cap on again. I did this last week for the card. I'm going to make this a consistent thing. I enjoy doing the matchmaking a lot. But yeah, I've been talking pretty quiet because I'm up in my room and my family is asleep. So sorry if the audio is not the best, but we'll see you guys in the next one. I got more tier lists coming soon. We got a week break, so no UFC, but I'll probably do some live streams and all that shit. Tier lists, some funny videos coming. And yeah, we'll sort out all the content. Keep it locked in on the channel. Like the video, subscribe. Trying to hit 3K by the end of the month. Go follow my Patreon to support the channel. And yeah, have a good one, everybody. Peace out.